Hi and welcome to News Review. I am Saja Brita. Coming up this hour, former presidential advisor and GMC leader Honorable Mai Fati finally out of quarantine. Medical students in the Gambia say it is time for African traditional herbs to be incorporated with conventional medicine. And of course, APRC interim leader say Gambians are ready to have them back at the State House come 2021. But first, we take a look at the newspapers. The Standard newspaper is reporting that Gambia in no hurry to use Madagascar COVID-19 drug, and a National Assembly member claims government mismanaged COVID-19 funds, and the GDC slams underperformed Barrow at a 4-year anniversary. Let's take a look at some of these stories in detail. National Assembly member claims government mismanaged COVID-19 funds. The National Assembly member for Opa Fuladu West, Sana Jawara, has accused the Ministry of Health of overpricing buckets and hand sanitizers they purchased for lawmakers. The Health Ministry reportedly used $3.2 million of the first $12 million COVID-19 funds to procure buckets and sanitary items for the National Assembly members for onward delivery to their various constituencies. But the UDP lawmaker and a member of the National Assembly Select Committee monitoring the state of emergency said the ministry's claims that they spent such amount on the said items are unjustifiable. GDC slams underperformed Barrow at a 4-year anniversary. The leader of the opposition Gambia Democratic Congress has criticized President Adama Barrow-led administration for doing what he called very little to change the livelihoods of Gambians since coming to power in January 2017. Addressing GDC supporters on the party's 4th-year anniversary, Mama Kande said, as far as the GDC is concerned, the Gambia of today is in a sorry state with a tormenting level of poverty and public dissatisfaction running high, especially as we face the COVID-19 pandemic, which has vividly exposed our basic weakness as a nation. Gambia in no hurry to use Madagascar COVID-19 drug. The acting director of health, Dr. Mustafa Bitey, has said the Gambia will be in no rush to use Madagascar's anti-COVID-19 herbal drug on hospitalized patients, since all the registered cases in the country are stable and not between life and death. Dr. Bitey was quoted as saying, some countries have already agreed to use it, but for Gambia we have not said we are using it. At least we are going to deal with our normal procedures, but just as any other medicine, it has to go through phases of trial based on the data that we have until it is satisfied that we can use it generally on all patients. Minority leader welcomes up new powers to assembly. The minority leader and member of Nyamina Dankunku has welcomed the new powers given to the National Assembly by the new constitution of the Gambia. Samba Jallow said the additional powers which compel the executive to seek parliamentary approval for virtually everything will give legislators the necessary authority to properly check the executive. And of course, rumors of COVID-19 vaccines scaring mothers from attending health clinics. Health authorities have expressed concern that because of unfounded rumors scaring people about the availability of a dangerous COVID-19 vaccine, mothers are not visiting health facilities to vaccinate their children against other diseases. They warn that this can lead to a surge in the prevalence of such diseases in children. Power shortages hit provinces. Populations in the central and upper river region of the Gambia have been grappling with acute electricity supply for several days, and the situation has forced NAWEC to resort to extensive load shedding in the region. The Standard newspaper has been reliably informed. According to sources, NAWEC has 2 engines in Basse supplying both central and upper river regions, with one of them currently out of service, leading to a reduced supply in the face of an increased demand. That's it from the Standard newspaper. Let's take a look at some of the headlines on the Point newspaper. Fire ravages Birkama market, and Barrow must go, says the APRC PRO. Says APRC could offer UDP alliance to unseat President Adama Barrow in 2021. Let's take a look at that story. The Executive Secretary and Deputy Spokesperson of the Alliance for Patriotic Reorientation and Reconstruction, Durija, says his party will extend hands to the UDP if that means to unseat President Adama Barrow in 2021. The Gambia will go to the polls for presidential elections in 2021, and the APRC deputy spokesperson Mr. Ja said no single party can form a majority and subsequently unseat the incumbent. He believes that incumbency is always an advantage, and the only way for a Barrow defeat is when political parties form a coalition in the upcoming elections, a similar tactic employed by the 2016 coalition which unseated President Jammeh. And of course, fire ravages Birkama market, and Gambia confirms one new COVID-19 case rather. The stories are pretty much similar. I think that's it for the newspapers. Let's go for a break and then we'll be right back. Welcome back. And now GMC leader Honorable Mai Ahmed Fati is speaking out for the first time since leaving quarantine. Mai, who entered the Gambia through Senegal following closure of the border, spoke to journalists at a press conference where he shared his experience and the plight of frontline workers. Let's take a look.
When you go on quarantine, the first thing I noticed is when I was taken to my room where I was isolated, you find nothing there. And some people were picked up from the street, straight to quarantine, with only one shirt or one trouser with them and nothing else. And when you get in your room, I had expected that I would find certain kits there. That is, I would find some face mask, basically slippers, at least for people who just come in like that, you know, and some specific basic necessities that would be important for a person under quarantine. But not even a face mask. And I'm saying this. That is my experience. And my experience with others, how do we expect people to be isolated under quarantine and they're not even provided with face masks? That is the basic. That is the basic. You expect that to happen. I'm not sure whether the authorities are aware, but that is my experience. That is my experience. Fortunately, I had a supply of my own before coming, so I had enough supply to last me for the period. But how many people would have that under quarantine, particularly those who are picked up from their homes and communities in the streets and taken to quarantine, who are ill prepared for it? You want to place people on quarantine and they're exposed. This is a reality. I have witnessed it. But also the frontline health workers, if we do not do something about their welfare, there is growing despondence among them. These people work very long hours and they are paid with pittance. I want to assure you that in my conversation with many of them, some of them even borrow, they go and loan depends. They go and borrow just to go and for their families to be fed. And most of them, 90% of them have not seen their family for 3 weeks or more because they are also quarantined permanently with the quarantine staff. The morale is going down among them. And if we allow this situation to continue, then it is going to be a disaster for the country because these are people protecting our public today. And that is why I am making it an opportunity, because I have a voice. I have a voice, and then I want to use this voice to make it clear to the public and to government that we need to focus on their welfare. If the frontline workers are in jeopardy and their interests are not protected, how can they protect people under their custody? This is a serious situation. It is an indictment that the people who are risking their lives so that our country can live are not properly taken care of. I wonder what happened to the APRC 5 million. Or is it 12 million rather? Some of them have not been paid. I am using this opportunity in order to publicize their plight. I am not criticizing the government because they are not doing anything. What is of interest to me today is to bring out the plight of the people who are sacrificing for our country, who are paid $2,000, $3,000 a month, and who spend all of their time, day and night, working excess hours. 10, 11, 12 hours a day. working around situations that are very difficult to accept. So I am pleading to Gambia government, the National Assembly, to please look at the welfare of our frontline workers, the public health officials, those who are at the borders, those who are at the quarantine, and those, even the drivers. I use the opportunity to speak to everybody so that I can understand exactly what is at stake, and not just what we are told in the media. It looks nice. And I know my brother, the Minister of Health, is doing a very good job, Dr. Samade. I want to commend him and his team, the director and all that. But we need to come down. We need to come down to the lower level, the people who are actually operating and implementing the system. These are the people we should care most about. The nurses. In the midst of all this, public euphoria and all this media jamboree, these people are forgotten. Their welfare is forgotten behind the scenes. They are suffering. And it is important that this plight be known. Our public health workers deserve better than what they are getting today. They deserve much better than what they are getting. If I were a public health worker, most of them that I see, it's only mere patriotism. But it is easy to give up. So government should increase their incentives, particularly this time that they are on extended hours, long hours, extended hours of work, plus the risk that they are exposed to. And also, there have been a number of people, it has come to my knowledge, a large number of people who are under quarantine, at least where I was quarantined, Badala Park Hotel, who have been picked up from their communities, and many of them are breadwinners. They are the people who take care of their families. They are kept there for 2 weeks, 10 days, for the duration of that period. Meanwhile, the only breadwinners are under quarantine. The families are suffering outside. Government should make provision for everybody who is quarantined. Everybody who is quarantined under the COVID aid program. Every family member, every breadwinner who has a family behind, who is quarantined, to make sure that the family is fully cared for before they come out. Because you don't want to create two problems. You take a breadwinner away from the family on suspicion of being infected. Then you leave the family there, empty. Young girls, young women, the mother and the children in a dilemma. It is not also fair. And this is a situation that should be a priority for the state. So again, I am appealing to the Gambia government to make sure that they go through the statistics of those who are quarantined today and look at the breadwinners who are there and support their families during this period. Because I am aware that there are family heads who are under quarantine who have not been provided with a single cup of rice. So I wonder where the aid has gone. But this I can attest to, and I have names and I can prove it, that there are breadwinners who are under quarantine who do not have.
I am Ronald Senghor.
I am Fanta Cisse.
I am Jenovan.
Welcome to the APRC
Ramadan Show. Stand a chance of winning millions of dollars.
All you have to do is call or SMS 1010.
For $3 only.
Excitement.
Numbers.
Big surprises.
Watch us live on GRTS on every Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays at 9 p.m.
And listen to us on Afri Radio and all other major radio stations.
Stay home and stay safe.
Share the Ramadan with us and participate.
Because with AfriCell, you're always a winner.
The Gambia has now joined countries like Senegal, who has received a consignment of Madagascar's COVID-19 cure. While the World Health Organization issues caution over the use of the medicine, some medical students believe African traditional medicine can be incorporated with conventional medicine. Fatou Kamara Jr. reports.
Last month, the president of Madagascar, Andry Rajoelina, launched COVID Organics, an organic concoction claiming it can prevent and cure patients suffering from the coronavirus. And this is what Jainaba Jammeh, a sixth-year medical student from the University of the Gambia School of Medicine and Allied Sciences, had to say about the issue.
I think that's a milestone. That's a breakthrough for it coming from Africa. I think that's a huge plus. Madagascar is actually an Indian island found in the southern part of the Indian Ocean. It's an island. Recently, in April, the president made a press statement. That is President Andry Rajoelina. He made a press statement where journalists were present and diplomats, and he told them that these herbs, they call it the COVID Organics. Yeah, they said, and he said it can cure people. At that particular moment when he was making that press conference, they have already confirmed 2 people that have recovered from the infection. One of those were even his aunt, his aunt, the president's aunt, was also involved in those that were treated with COVID organics. The organics contain a lot of herbs, and the principal content of those herbs is the Artemisia. This Artemisia was first imported to Madagascar from China in 1970s, and it was used in the treatment of malaria. Ever since, they have been using it to treat malaria in Madagascar. But then the president, in collaboration with one of the institute, called the Madagascar Institute of Applied Research. They were the ones that came up with this Artemisia and made it in a form of beverage. So they take it as tea. So from there, it has been given to their patients, their COVID patients, and it has been working effectively. Currently, they have about 193 confirmed cases of coronavirus, and out of the 193, about 101 people have already recovered from the infection, and they recorded 0 fatality. No one has died in Madagascar.
Ibrahima, a 6th-year medical student of the UTG, dwelled on the positive effects of traditional African medicine, thus calling on African health professionals to try and find ways of incorporating it into conventional medicine.
So the herbalization process it is part and parcel of this traditional African medicine. So when you talk about a herbalist or herbalization, it is an art in which the herbalist, which is the person who uses those herbs, uses their herbs per se and cures ailments. So the herbalization, it has to do with the thorough knowledge of plants into drugs, wherein it involves the selection, compounding, categorization of these drugs, and knowing their adverse effects and their usage, the dosage per se. So it's important that the knowledge is applied properly. I think it's important that the African country, that the citizens of Africa, they wake up, they stand up and go and study these areas. Pharmacology, for example. I take a notable example from Ghana. Ghana have a very booming pharmacologic industry. They're producing a lot of drugs. So it is high time we utilize not just the drugs for conventional medicine, but the drugs from these herbs. We know that the herbs can cure in a way, but it's not scientifically proven. So it's better we study the herbs and convert them and have a thorough knowledge of how to use the herbs. Make sure we dose them properly so that they can be used in our conventional medicine. I think there should be that collaboration between conventional medicine and traditional medicine, such as herbalization.
Talking about the possibility of African traditional medicine getting recognized by the international community, this is what he said.
The herbalization process it is part and parcel of this traditional African medicine. So when you talk about a herbalist or herbalization, it is an art in which the herbalist, which is the person who uses those herbs, uses their herbs per se and cures ailments. So the herbalization, it has to do with the thorough knowledge of plants into drugs, wherein it involves the selection, compounding, categorization of these drugs, and knowing their adverse effects and their usage, the dosage per se. So it's important that the knowledge is applied properly. And also, when we talk about the herbalization, there are various things that the herbalists use. Some start with the roots. They use the roots to actually cure. So in our country, for example, in Gambia, we have herbal roots that we use for curing, for treating actually abdominal pain. Some use the bulb, such as onions and ginger. Some use bulb, such as onion and garlic. Some use the legumes, some use the barks, some use the leaves, the barks, and all of that.
Knowing the deadliness of the novel coronavirus, medical students call on all African health workers, especially Gambians, to stand firm in the fight against the coronavirus.
First, I would like to implore them on the hard work they are doing, the sacrifice, all the efforts that they are putting in to make sure they see our COVID patients come out recovering and trying to actually limit the death rate. But my advice to all of them, to all health workers, being it a nurse, being it a doctor, once you are involved in taking care of COVID patients, my advice to you is make sure you don't come in contact with those patients without wearing the food gears, like the PPEs. The PPE stands for personal protective equipment. You have to make sure you're dressed well for it, not just for your own sake, like your own health sake, but also considering that of the patients, because you'll be moving from one patient to another. And what we try to prevent in hospitals is transferring infection. That is the health worker transferring infection from one person to another.
Research data on the advent of the incurable stage 4 cancer, HIV/AIDS, and now the coronavirus is enough evidence to say Western or conventional medicine is failing in the treatment of various ailments, and this is forcing Africans to take a look back at African traditional medicine. Therefore, one can say conducting a deeper research on herbal medicine could be the next evolutionary step in the art of medicine. Fatou Kamara reporting.
TAF Africa Global is proud to launch the Moria Gardens, conveniently located in Brufut, 5 minutes off the Brufut Highway. Moria Gardens is set to comprise of 20 fenced and gated service plots with sizes ranging from 264 to 420 meters square. Unique features include water and electricity infrastructure, solar street lights, all-weather roads and scenic gardens. We offer a 10-year mortgage plan with a 25% equity down payment in partnership with GT Bank, Trust Bank and EcoBank. For more information, please contact 376-2333 or 776-2333 or visit our offices at Madiba Mall at Taft Brufut Gardens, opposite 5-Star Hotel.
Welcome back. And now APRC interim leader has told the Factory Network that Gambians have so far manifested that they need the APRC back in government come 2021. Fabakary Tombong Jatta also took a swipe at what he called the so-called human rights activists in the Gambia, witch hunting his party. Let's take a look. Welcome to the Factory Network, Honorable Fabakary Tombong Jatta.
Thank you very much.
The APRC has been in the center of much discussion once again when you said that you might be forced to sue the Gambia government for seizing the APRC assets.
Yeah, thank you very much, Factory Network. This is a very important question, and I want to dissect it so that it is understood by listeners. You know, through the orders of Sediba of State House, according to people who come to pick these vehicles, that's one Mr. Jang, they call him Jang, and the Suso. Our vehicles were seized from us at various locations and from individuals, APRC vehicles and buses, including buses and the coasters. Now, after some time, we wrote to government. We wrote to Batembedu, saying, why should our vehicles be seized? They came back to us and said, we go to the police. We went to the police, we had discussion with the police. They said they were doing a verification whether APRC owns the vehicles or not. Then we said to them, we have no objections, because I said, 2 of those vehicles were presented in my own presence by a businessman currently in the Gambia. He's still in the Gambia. So tell us the facts, and where are the vehicles? We waited. Today to no avail. Now, we believe, one, that these vehicles were illegally seized, because it is not legal. If you are to take seized property by law, you should put it up somewhere until determination is done. Now, where are these vehicles? We are told some of these vehicles, the number plates, all these things, some of them are repainted, some of them are sold in Senegal. A lot of these things, you cannot see these vehicles anywhere. Over 30-something vehicles, coasters, you cannot see them. Now, what we are saying is that is illegal. We expect that if these vehicles were seized by law, they should be put up somewhere. And after determination, after the Ghana Commission, our first government white paper, they will be able to tell us that these vehicles that we've seized from you are now forfeited to the state, or we are giving you back this number of vehicles. but it's not even mentioned in government white paper. No mention of our vehicles.
What does that tell you? The fact that it's not even mentioned in the Janneh
It tells you that
there is no mention whatsoever
of
these assets.
You can only, if you read in between lines, this were done emotionally, without law, using powers on the APRC because we are APRC. Just imagine it. You talked about seizing our vehicles at the beginning of the commission, and you make no determination, no mention of those vehicles up to date. And what our worry is, some of our so-called human rights activists are keeping quiet. These things are known facts, but we also deserve justice. We need to be defended. We are part of the Gambia, and we got so disturbed by these things. But as I said, this time around, we are determined, even if it means we're going to sell our own personal properties, without a resolution from government or determination from government, we will have no other cause than to take government to court.
It's interesting you say that even our human rights activists are silent over this matter. But then again, the same human rights activists might say that, well, you supported a government that is well known for human rights violations. What do you say about that?
You see, is that a justification that I have done bad and therefore you should do bad? That's not what we want as a king. If you claim that I have done bad, what I would expect you to do is, you will make me understand that I have done bad, and then you will avoid going back on those things. But you are telling me, defend me. You said, no, you have done it bad. I mean, you have to wait forward. So tomorrow again, if another government comes, you tell them, defend me. They will tell you, you have done it bad. Until when? That's not what Gambia is looking for. What the Gambia is looking for is to put an end to any system that is not conducive to the livelihood of Gambians. And we must make this clear. There will be no government that will not make some of those mistakes. It's to bring it to the barest minimum. And two, you see, government is composed of people. This current government is composed of people, some of whom may be APRC supporters, UDP supporters, Barrow supporters, DOI supporters, etc. So you cannot make a determination by saying that we as a party, we acknowledge that we made errors as any other political party and as any other government. But the irony and the interesting thing is nobody talks about the good that we have done. And there is nothing that happened in the Gambia that had not happened in many parts of the sub-region. Many parts. You go to Sierra Leone, you go to Liberia, you go to Ivory Coast, you go to Ghana, you go to Nigeria, you go to any of them, Burkina Faso. Worst things happen there. They are moving ahead. Shouldn't we move ahead? Should that be the cause for us to be denied justice? So we have seen people in this system who are vindictive, who for whatever or the other they think they own government, or they own the people. Why are they talking about the errors of this current government? Let them talk about that. But they are hailing them. We are exception. Anything that happens to Haruna Gata's death, you can hardly hear anybody talking about it. You can hardly hear when Ismail Tamba was shot, when our people were picked up at Kamfenda, when they were attacked by UDP supporters from their buses. Those people were asked to go home, and then our people were picked up from the villages. A lot of things happened. Nobody talks about that because it was APRC, and it is claimed that APRC was the one who was the government in power that was dictatorial. Fine, call us any language, but there will be change. There will be change again, and I pray we all live to see the change.
And of course, the Gambia government came up with so many commissions. You just mentioned the issue of Haruna Jatta, the late Haruna Jatta. When they came up with other commissions like the Faraba Commission, there was no commission established to look into his death so far, and nothing has been done. You might say that justice is still not served, but you still maintain that you cannot challenge these issues in court because you are faced with some financial difficulties. But every political party should have not just a lawyer, but a legal team to represent them. How serious are you as a party when it comes to those things?
Yeah, remember, look at the injustices that befell us. You know, when this government came in, the intent of the coalition was to put away APRC from the scenes of the Gambia. That was the intent. Immediately they came in, everything broke down. Insults, seizures, arrest, killings, everything went on just to put away the APRC. So you better congratulate us for being able.
Why are you not challenging these things in court? I know you about the financial issues, but you are still holding political rallies. How do you explain that?
Yes, because you see, our political rally, for us, our strength is with the people. When we call for political rallies, all the vehicles you see there are hired by individual groups of people, not dime from the party. They put up their monies, hire vehicles, come out to this thing, to the venues. Even if we are going on tour, people hire their vehicles. So what we are saying is, but now we are settling down also, and we are looking for money. But for most of these things, we will have to resort to court. We may have some sympathizers, some legal sympathizers, because we are beginning to talk with some of them. We may have some sympathizers who may not be as expensive as the others may be, and then we will resort to court. I have just told you, even if it means we are going to sell some of us are going to sell our personal properties, we will have to resort to court if our dues are not given. But our challenge is, where are those human rights activists and journalists during our times who, even if we twinkle our eye, they said APRC is on the move? Where are they? With all these
journalists didn't have the freedom during the APRC regime to, voice out their opinions or to even write certain stories about the previous regime.
That is not true. That is not a true story.
That's what a lot of journalists will say.
That's what they will tell you. But
freedom of the press.
No, they may call it freedom of the press. For instance, I was part of government and I was part of parliament. There was freedom. People were speaking their minds. You go to newspapers, you bring out newspapers, go to Foria, other Standard and other papers, you see what people comment on them. The Point, go and look at it during those times, what people say about it. What we never wanted was responsible freedom. The power of the pen must be controlled. So journalists must not express their personal opinions or use the pen to further their behavior.
The power of the pen must be controlled.
Must
it
be
might
controlled.
be translated as
the
freedom of the press should be suppressed.
From irresponsible writing. This is what I'm saying. You see, I believe in journalism, the fourth estate, and I believe that information is power, and governments or people must release information to the people. It's for people to determine. But you see, this can be dangerous if it is not handled with responsibility, in a responsible way, because some journalists that I am aware of only carry on with their own intentions and make people believe that this is what Gambians believe when it is their own. They have not even gone beyond Serekunda. So what I'm saying here is, journalism, for it to be respected, people must be able to be critical of all systems, everybody, to make suggestions, to give information out. Their personal views must be kept aside, and that is very difficult in the Gambia. I've seen independent-minded journalists, yes, here flourishing, but a lot of them are just second class. Nobody will trust these things to those people. I'm telling you. So what I'm saying is not that, I remember journalists wanted a code of conduct. They wanted to be self-regulatory, meaning journalists themselves to regulate themselves in a bill that was put up. When that could not go through, they called us dictatorial. But I am telling you, APRC, myself, honestly, I believe in free expression. Responsible free expression. It must have limitations. I cannot just stand here and say I have a right to say anything I want, making allegations that cannot be substantiated, creating tensions. No. Say the truth at all cost. Be critical at all cost. Inform people at all cost. Do the investigations at all cost. We have no problems with that. So I question actually journalists, so-called human rights activists, Madi Jobate and his group. I want to mention that Madi Jobate is one person that I cannot forgive. Because I have observed him over the period during those days. Madi was very critical. Madi would do everything, you know. Madi of recent even is trying to bury the difficulties we are going around with. They make comments, or every comment, that dictatorial system, as if because we were dictatorial we don't deserve justice. I don't know what he meant by that. Some of those people, and Madi is in an organization that is supposed to be independent, an office in parliament, but he's still carrying on with his semi-journalistic profession as if he had an agenda that he's trying to sell to the Gambian people. He is not helping. Madi, I am very much disappointed with, you know. And some other few people, I don't mind to name names, but I would just end up there. But not that we don't believe in free expression.
So it's safe to say that the relationship between APRC and the present government might be a little sour, since you are even challenging, you want to challenge them in court.
Yes, you don't call it sour, because you know.
No, because I have heard people say that you've had meetings with Barrow once or a couple of times. What was the intention of those meetings or that meeting? Was it to beg him for the safe return of the former president, or what was it about? Was it related to the assets?
You see, I have said this. It is not about begging. You see, the return of President Jammeh to the Gambia is a right. Nobody can deny. He is a citizen, and there are no laws anywhere in this country that prevents a citizen from his return to the country. Even if he had killed 1 million people, he has a right of return. That one must be clear. So, when people talk about he will never come here, yes, there is no weak law can prevent a citizen from coming back home. He cannot forfeit his citizenship, you know. And he has a right to come home. What government may say or do is, if you come home, we have some charges or some these things that we will play. The government has that right. You cannot tell him he cannot come back to this country.
And
yes.
Carry on.
Our discussions with Barrow, you see, we have a different approach. You know, when we became opposition, we made it very clear. The type of opposition we used to have was very negative. And opposition parties which only pray for government to make faults. They don't pray anything good for the country, so that people get, and then they will move away from government, reject government. We have a different system. We believe that as an opposition, we are part of the governance structure of this country, and whoever becomes president, we will give government its due respect, leadership respect. We reserve the right to disagree with you, but we will not do those insults. We will engage government on issues rather than take the streets. We will want, if you remember, our people have been arrested many times. When my party was the interior minister, I will knock his door at irregular hours. When some of our people will want to go into the streets, we will stop them. I will engage and a lot of issues, we are able to resolve them. You know, and I do say this. I commend him for opening up, but then he had no alternative because I was on him, you know, and he opened his door for us to discuss on issues and resolve some of those problems. So that's the type of opposition we are. So when people see us talking to Barrow or engaging Barrow, they believe that no, why should we? Barrow it was us who he has replaced. I said, no, that is not it. We are an opposition with a different. So our engagements with Barrow are more of our concerns as it affects us, like our vehicles, our vehicles, our accounts, how our people are treated, the issues of Haruna Jatta, etc. And sometimes we even discuss about our opinions as to the way forward for the country. We share all those ideas. But
and of course now he has his own political party, which is the NPP, and even before that it seems like he has been snatching some of the veteran APRC members, the likes of Sidinjai and the likes of Dahaba. Do you think...
Do you call them veteran?
Well, they've been well known in the APRC party.
Yes, you can see now, the APRC, the beauty, you know what surprised me most about the APRC is, Look at the young guys you are seeing. Look at even Dudu. Have you ever known him before in politics? Who can challenge him now in the political scene? Very few people. These are the type that came out from the blue. Those that I have not known, people who believe in the party but we are not very active, are the people who sacrificed and came out because of the belief they have in the party. The youth, look at it round. Most of our hardcore youths, you hardly see them. These are young graduates, youths, people who are fresh in politics, and they have taken the mantle. They are leading. Anywhere you go, they will tell you, what about Duduja? APRC spokesman Duduja, Amul Nyasi, this type. Why? These are young people. So, for us, what had happened is, this issue had created an awareness and this shifting of the good from the bad. There were people who were with the party who were just there because they want to get something, but they don't believe in the party or they are supportive of the party.
So you're basically saying that the likes of Sidinjai and Dahaba were only in the APRC because of their own interest, as you put it.
Yeah, that's the only way I can put it. I can only say that. See, if people who believe in the party, I mean, what is this thing? Sidi, up to the time of President's departure, was part of the party. Up to the time when we were on those hustles, he was part of the party. Is it because of frustration or whatever? We don't know. He decides to cross carpet. So, for those of us who believe in the party, who believe that yes, as much as we made errors, we can make this party great again, putting in corrective measures to avoid the recurrences of our mistakes and moving the party forward, we stayed. And more people came on board. And the party now is going to be one of the biggest parties in the country. Like it or not, we are the biggest. You know, that's why we are being haunted by all political. Even if you talk to any political party, they said, APRC is in coalition or partnership with Party A or Party B.
Can we see that happening in the future? Do you think there is a possibility with any of these political parties?
You see,
UDP,
I even hear people,
GDC.
some people will say, UDP, APRC will not be able to work with UDP. No, that's a mistake. You see, in politics, you don't have permanent enemies or friends. You have interests. You know, we are open to discussion with any political party. You know, but subject to protecting our interests. You know, if we agree, if we don't agree, go your way, we go our way. But there is nobody that will say, no, we are not talking to you. You know, that's not politics. We will open up, talk to anybody, but we have principles and we have some things to protect and we have the Gambia at heart. So those things, there are certain things we will not be able to give away or to compromise during the negotiations. But we are open to all forms.
And of course, right now, the Gambia is faced with a deadly pandemic, just like the rest of the world, the coronavirus. I have interviewed the PRO of his party, and he has told me that he doesn't believe that coronavirus is in the Gambia. He accused the Gambia government of creating what he described as a fake cases in order to access funds. Does that resonate with you too, as the interim leader of the party?
What I do know is, you know, there are many beliefs. I know when I listened to his interview, he based his arguments on certain facts, like the issue of the man who died, the Bangladeshi man who died. See, he gave reasons that created doubt in him. To say that, he is not saying that a coronavirus is not in existence, but to this best knowledge, they have not given proven details as to whether it actually exists in the Gambia. That was his argument, which we must respect him for, and he has backed it up. I know coronavirus exists, and it should be our collective responsibility to be careful, to adhere strictly to the health experts, their advices, as much as possible. But I said this, and I want to say this. You see, this type of pandemics or national issues, I would have loved the government to have put up a task force irrespective of political affiliation. You put up so that everybody becomes part of it. All thoughts or groups of people are part of it, and together you can encourage or have people adhere strictly to the regulations that govern it. Yeah, that's one thing. The other thing is about the impact of the state of emergency on the lives of people. You know, this one I have argued it out. I am not blaming government, because when government wanted to make declare a state of emergency of 3 months, the National Assembly members argued to make it 45 days.
45 days, right.
Yeah, that was, for me, that was not very important, because you see, if it is 45 days, at the expiration of 45 days, and we still have the coronavirus issues, it will be extended. If it is 90 days, and within 1 month it disappears, the state of emergency will stop. So the issue was, the state of emergency you're going to declare, its impact on the livelihood of Gambians. How prepared is government to ameliorate the conditions of Gambians in those lights? President Barrow said they have put up $500 million. I think it was, for me, Parliament should have known how government intends to appropriate that amount. Not necessarily it's available, but how are you going to spend it? How much on drugs? How much on the livelihood of people who are denied access to their businesses? How much on whatever? How much on transport? They should be able to tell us that, tell Parliament that, and on the basis of that, Parliament should be able to say yes or no, and at the same time, they will be able to, as an oversight institution, they will be able to follow it up to see whether monies are spent that way. But we have $500 million, fine. So, no coordination. The government can spend it any way they want to spend it. You cannot query it, because you have not put in regulatory measures to ensure that these things are appropriated this way. So I thought that was a mistake on Parliament, that Parliament should have known how government intends to spend that money. And the other monies that we have received should be reported, and so that Gambians know how much we have received in total as regards this coronavirus and how they intend to spend it.
And finally, of course, the name of your party came up in this whole coronavirus fund debacle at the National Assembly, when the Minister of Finance, Mambu Njai, told parliamentarians that even during the APRC regime, that certain things were passed without ratification.
Yeah, loans.
Yes.
You see, I think I responded to that. You know, that was an insult to parliamentarians. I said it. If the minister had said that, the minister just directly insulted parliamentarians. You see, it's not good to fake people or to lie to people. No country in the world or no institution will give anybody, any country, loan that is not ratified by Parliament. Because in the absence of parliamentary ratification, it is not a national loan. It is a loan between the institution and that government. If the government goes away, finish. Loans must be ratified by Parliament to become national loans, so that even if you are not there, succeeding governments will have to pay. So if Mambure goes to say that during our time, these things happen where we have loans that are not ratified by Parliament, I challenge him. I said, is the lie of the century. It's not true. It's misleading. And I am saying this, institutions will not give, however friendly you are with the creative fund, with whatever, they will not give you their time until you take it to Parliament, ratified, it becomes a national one. So even if you, the government, you are no longer there, succeeding governments will have to pay the loan. But you go and give me a loan without parliamentary approval, signed between the executive and the institution. Where have you ever heard of that? And that he was saying that to parliamentarians. Anybody who comes on board would want to tarnish the APRC, whitewash us as the worst institution or government that ever existed in the world. Anything bad associated with APRC, as if we had not done anything good in this country. And Mambu Njai, interestingly, was one-time finance minister. He has been a minister.
And some people think he shouldn't be in this one because he was one of the Jammeh accomplices.
No, I don't believe in that. I don't believe in people who are... Somebody may be working with Jammeh. He's not APRC. He works because he believes that it's our country. He is to contribute his quota. But when it comes to party affiliations, he may not be APRC. He may not even be in support of Jammeh becoming president. It can all happen. But because of love of country, you want to provide your services. So it doesn't mean like borough government, people who work in borough government, the next APRC government, which is the one coming, like it or not, you meant to say that these borough people will no longer work there. That's what I cannot understand that.
So you believe that APRC is taking over again come 2021?
Yeah, and that's what the Gambians have shown. The Gambians have indicated to the whole world that we have been lied to. Promises were unkept. In fact, we regretted for giving away our diamond for what do you call this, cast iron? Diamond for cast iron, you know. So this is what Gambians are. Around the country, everywhere, we saw that we are going to be in government, either alone or in partnership. That one, no doubt about that, God willing, inshallah. APRC is ready, and Gambians are ready to receive us, and we can assure them a better Gambia than ever before. Yes.
Thank you very much, Honorable.
It's a pleasure.
Thank you.